How are you doing today? So, I was having a phone call with someone earlier in the day, and they basically came back and said, "How are you so positive in the face of all of this kind of news?" And the short answer is, I appreciate where we are, I understand where we are, but I also realize that this will pass. So, what I did is I took about 10 minutes just to kind of jot down all of the negative news that we were hearing. I'm going to go through each negative piece of information and then come back through that list and tell you why I'm positive about it, why I feel good, right? Why I'm not running for the hills and all of that stuff. So again, in no particular order, they were just how they came to me. This is a list of 14 or 15 just horrible, horrible things that are staring us in the face. And again, I will go through the same list in the same order and talk about why I'm okay with that. So first and foremost, Q2 GDP. It is certainly going to be down greater than 30%. It will be a record fall. It will far outpace the Great Depression. And we will have to look at that chart for the rest of our lives as we go back and look at the economy. We will always know what happened in Q2 2020. We have already reported 22 million new unemployment claims. From memory, I think we were at 3.9, then 6 point, no, it must have been 3.8, 6.9, 6.3, 5.2, something of that nature. Certainly millions of more this week, likely millions more next week and the week after. But again, we'll talk about this and why I can appreciate where we are, but I also see where we're going. Already have 3 million forbearance requests and surely growing by the day, far exceeding the million that the powers that be had planned. See numbers of 150,000 restaurants that will be closing to never open again. Retail bankruptcies have started and likely will change the retail landscape forever. Crude oil for this last month and pretty much the next month is worthless in its physical form. No place to put it, no place to store it. There were people paying others. I think I saw $36 to take it off their hands, which is pretty crazy. Airlines flying at 10% of their routes, of their flights. National rent collection appears to be under 80%. Coca-Cola has talked about a drop in demand of 25%. Software sales, an industry that I have knowledge with, looks like it is softening substantially. IBM calling it out just recently in their earnings announcement. Apple being downgraded, talking about people buying differently. Advertising being slashed by 80% or more. Expedia brought this to our attention, and others have since. The oil industry, pipelines, transportation, all of that is certainly going to be shaken and consolidated, and many, many companies will go bankrupt. And then finally, it is pretty clear that our medical system, our supply chain for PPEs and pharmaceutical drugs is very dependent on other countries, which may or may not like us. So it's a big problem. So again, you probably could keep running down this list of more and more and more negative news, such as lending standards and all of that. Again, this was a quick 5 or 10 minute kind of run through. But now let me flip each of them over and tell you why the seemingly once in a lifetime scary events don't have me hiding in a corner. First off, record drop in GDP, 30%, probably more. Well, the good news is Q2 will be horrible, but I believe Q3 will be better, Q4 will be better, and we will go on from there. Just like I talked about weeks ago that we had to get through 2 weeks of horrible news and we got through them. Once we get through the Q2 negative print, which will be once in a lifetime, knock on wood, I hope, we can start healing, and we will start to say, wow, Q3 is 50% better or 30% better or shoot 20% better. So once we have it, once we know it, we can get better. 22 million unemployed. First, the number appears to be shrinking week to week. Hopefully that 6.9, which is earth shattering, is the peak. We will undoubtedly have weeks with millions and millions more. But we should be seeing a slow deterioration, especially if states like Georgia and Texas and others can start to reopen between now and May 1st. Retail stores, there's no question that many of them were on the brink of bankruptcy, and really haven't changed their sort of store footprint, haven't gone online, and this is it, no question. Time to shut down, go through bankruptcy, reposition, or just call it a day, right? No, it's better to sort of like ripping a Band-Aid off. Let's go. This will allow the next retailer, the next big box store, whoever wants to create those things, to get better lease rates. The retail stores like Neiman Marcus and Macy's and JCPenney's, their rent per square foot now will likely be much, much higher than the next retailer in a year who takes over that vacant spot. So there will be retailers who have a cost of renting or leasing that is far better than existing brands today. Crude oil. I don't think anybody can think that crude oil will be worthless going forward. But there is a chance that this industry needs to collapse. We need to look at it, and there will be companies that benefit from cheap oil that are allowed to start anew and go forward. Airlines. You know what? Maybe we have too many. Airlines now are flying 10% of capacity. Maybe there's a way that airlines could actually make it more than just cattle cars. Maybe they change their seat configurations. Yes, travel is more expensive, but does anybody think travel will be like it was before, with you're touching your neighbor's elbows or shoulders? National rent collection at 80%. There are some operators who pay too much that just need to go out. There are some highly leveraged folks that need to be washed out. It is possible we actually have rent deflation, which helps folks. There's the whole Class A, B, and C argument, so lots of stuff going on. Coca-Cola's demand fell 25%. Maybe we're getting off of soda. There's a general belief that soda, at least too much soda, is bad for you. Maybe we just appreciate water more and more. Software, technology. This is a big deal. I've been telling you about these bogus pipelines for 6-8 weeks now. And there'll be a consolidation. There will be tech companies that no longer exist, and engineers and salespeople will be picked up by other organizations. There will no longer be, hey, 3 colors of blue. There will just be one survivor. And that will provide opportunities in the consolidation. Apple being downgraded. To that I say good, but really because of the reason why. Do we really need a $1,000 smartphone? Do we need to upgrade every other year? Maybe we come out of this and we are less materialistic. Maybe we have more minimalism, and maybe we have less stuff. Would that be horrible? Maybe we have more savings in a bigger emergency fund just by buying less expensive stuff. Big part of our story, right? I've told you forever that 15 years we sacrificed and made decisions like that. Companies are slashing advertising spending. Advertising got very expensive, and it was really dominated by the big boys. Think Expedia in their $5 billion marketing budget. Now the small players, maybe the new entrants, the new restaurant, the new retail store, they can get a footprint with advertising because the big boys aren't doing it. Restaurant failures, I think I missed that one. Sure, there may be 150,000 restaurants fail, but again, like retail, there will be new operators. There'll be new restaurants. There'll be new footprints and floor plans, and retail will be very, very different. And I agree, minimalism is not poverty. I absolutely agree with that. The oil industry, it is going to be consolidated. It will, it will be smaller, but likely stronger. We've got to make sure that it stays American, at least in this case, and not be sold off to other entities that don't like us. But that is important, and it will be healthier for it. And then lastly, our medical supply chain, pharmaceuticals. The fact that we are reliant on countries that now are proven not to like us, we got to make more stuff. Frankly, even if it's government sponsored, it's some subsidies or something, we have got to start making personal protective gear for our healthcare industry. The fact that we have to beg, borrow, and steal for masks and swabs and have drugs kind of produced in other areas is not what I want for the future, and something I am positive we will fix when we get to the other side. I see a huge infrastructure bill coming. I see a huge creation of manufacturing and manufacturing jobs. Made in America will mean something again. And I am very, very positive about the future. I know that Q2 is going to hurt. I know with each headline it's going to hurt. But realize with each negative headline, there is an upside. It will get better. So that's kind of the phone call I had with a friend who was frankly really wigging out. They're in the Silicon Valley. They have $1 million mortgage, and the wife was furloughed here recently. It's getting bad in the valley, and people are getting nervous. So this too shall pass. We will get to the other side, but buckle up. It's going to be a little bit bumpy for several weeks. So again, I am super positive. I'm happy about what I see in the future. I don't feel good about these numbers that are coming out, so don't take that the wrong way. Let's again, for the third time, wish Georgia luck. They're going to start opening their economy on Friday. I haven't seen that change, so let's hope it happens. And let's hope that proves to be a positive thing for the country. All right, everybody, take care of yourself. Be positive. Don't wig out. You're okay. Keep learning your market, and let's take advantage of this together. Bye.